Good morning, sir. Today's first article is on Rajasthan lessons. If the truth in the Congress is to endure, both factions must mend their ways. So, if the agreement between enemies or ceasefire in the Congress is to endure, both factions, both dissents or small organized group within a large one must mend their ways, must have their own ways, must show their ways, must make out their ways. So let's start today's article. The crisis in Congress in Rajasthan that nearly brought down the government led by Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot has blown over. So the crisis which is in the Congress in Rajasthan have nearly brought down the government. Means it has shameful law. It comes under the meaning that the government have get downed by Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot. The group led by Sachin Pilot has reiterated its loyalty to the party, though the standoff cost him the posts of Deputy Chief Minister and State Party Chief. So, the group, which was led by Sachin Pilot, has repeated or restated its loyalty of the party. Means how generous, how truthful is to the party. Though his posts of deputy chief minister and state party chief were understandable. The truth is an outcome of the realization on both sides that their positions had become self-destructive and unsustainable. So the ceasefire in this outcome have realized that both people's position are self-destructive, means they distracted their self jobs, and unsustainable means not able to maintain the correct level, correct job, correct seats. Mr. Gehlot faced the risk of losing the government, while Mr. Pilot started at the unnerving unnerving prospect of a life outside the Congress. So Mr. Gehlot have risks of losing government, and Mr. Pilot started disconcerting disconcerting prospect of a life outside the Congress. The turmoil in Rajasthan has also been yet another occasion to note with deep concern the tendency of the judiciary to overstep its remit set by law brazen partisanship of the governor and misuse of central agencies to tilt the political balance. So the disturbance in Rajasthan is another case in deep concern of tendency of judiciary. So here judiciary is system of courts that interpret and applies the law in the name of the state. So that have tendency that has tendency means move towards the judiciary to overstep its remit, to overstep its revoke set by law, brazen boldness, partisanship of the governor, and misuse of central agencies led to fight the political balance to tilt unbalanced. The crisis was primarily internal to the Congress, but the Bharatiya Janata Party maximalist approach to capture power at all costs was evident. The crisis was primarily internal to the Congress, but the Bharatiya Janata Party now also moves towards the capturing of power, and these costs are evident. The unseemly power struggle had derailed governance in the state in the midst of a pandemic. The the improper power struggle had diverted governance in the state in the middle of the COVID 19 pandemic. Now that a settlement has been reached, the center and state, the Bharatiya Janata Party, and all its sections within the ruling party must come together to combat the pandemic. So, as the settlement has reached to the center and state, Bharatiya Janata Party and all sections have to come together and have to fight the pandemic together. The Congress is facing the most severe crisis in its history and it cannot afford any complacency in keeping its house in order. So, as Congress is already facing severe problems, it cannot afford complacency. Complacency meaning is a feeling of smug or uncritical satisfaction with oneself or one's achievements. So, it cannot afford any uncritical situation, keeping uncritical satisfaction in keeping their house in order. The party is constantly at the receiving end of the Bharatiya Janata Party's relentless onslaught, and in March it lost the government in Madhya Pradesh, which it had won in 2018 along with Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh. The party receiving end of the Bharatiya Janata Party relentless onslaught, and in March it lost the government in Madhya Pradesh, which this government was won by them in 2018 along with Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh, but now they have lost this government. According to Mr. Gehlot's own admission, there was no communication between him and Mr. Pilot ever since the information of government in 2018. So, according to the information which Mr. Gehlot said that he have never had communication between Mr. Pilot. That is a sad commentary on the party. So this comment is a very sad for the party. Mr. Pilot has said he resorted to rebellion only after his grievances went unheeded. So Mr. Pilot have said that he had used or turned to and adopt a course of action. He had adopted to a course of action to rebellion means fight only after his grievances means a real or imagined cause for complaint, especially unfair treatment. So he have took this action of rebellion only because of his grievance went upheaded means this ignored or neglected. This brinkmanship might have taught them both and the party's central leadership some lessons for this future. Brinkmanship means the art or practice of pursuing a dangerous policy to the limits of safety before stopping, especially in politics. So, pursuing a dangerous policy with limits of safety is known as brinkmanship. Brinkmanship would give we taught them both the lessons, and party's central leadership also may learn lessons for their future. The resolution of the crisis took the interventions of former Congress President Rahul Gandhi, who commands the loyalty of both. So, the solution of this crisis took the interventions means the including of former Congress President Rahul Gandhi. He commands for the loyalty, the truth for both. He could have resolved it earlier or even preempted, means prevent or anticipate the crisis altogether. There is no single model for running a political party, but the nature, history, and character of the Congress impel it to be consultative. Impel means force it to be consultative and deliberative in its internal and external conduct. So there is no single model of running political party, but the nature, history, and character forces us to be consultative and deliberative, organized in its internal and external conduct. As Rajasthan demonstrated, Mr. Gandhi has a role to play in facilitating this. Mr. Gandhi has been focused on building a critic of the Bharatiya Janata Party and its government, but such politics will be effective only when reinforced by a strong organization. So, Mr. Gandhi have played a role in facilitating this, and Mr. Gandhi had a focused on building the critic. Critic means detailed analysis of politics and about Bharatiya Janata Party and government, but politics will be effective only when reinforced by strong organization. Okay. He has strong opinions on what the Congress should ideally be, but he has no option but to start with what it currently is. So he has strong opinions how the Congress should be, but he can't do anything because he have to start from what it is now. So today's first article is about the parties in Rajasthan, what are they losing, what is happening to the parties. Thank you.